Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. And I think we've had a lot of introductions already, but there's one thing I wanna mention that Sheikh Sami, although when when he was with us, we were put in positions of teaching the class that he was in. We see him as our senior. During our entire time when he was with us at Al-Ihsan, and even after till today, we have learned from him, from his wisdom, his life experiences, and we're truly honored to have him with us. And you guys are truly blessed to have him as your imam here. I know he's still new here, but inshallah, I'm sure you guys are already benefiting immensely, and you will continue to do so, inshallah ta'ala. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على رسوله الكريم وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين أما بعد. Our discussions today and tomorrow, they are revolving around the teachings and lessons that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us in Surah Yusuf. Surah Yusuf is such a chapter of the Quran that you can list and count the lessons and teachings that are relevant today to us in our everyday life, and you will never finish. Every single verse, every part of the story of Yusuf alayhi salam, everything that is there, it has something for us. And that is something that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us in the Quran as a whole. Looking at the different methods that Allah has used to convey different ideas and teachings to us. Some are, in the form of stories of previous nations. Some are in the forms of examples that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives to help us understand a concept. Some are in the form of a direct command, do this or don't do this. Different methods are used in the Quran, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, to convey these ideas, to convey these teachings. The one that perhaps has the most lessons for us is in the stories that are in the Quran. And what I would like to focus on today is the concept and the reality of life that at every instance of our living in this world, whether it be as a youngster, as an adult, as a senior, we are very, very often faced with difficulties. They come in various shapes and in different forms. It's not always something that is about finances, or it's about family, or it's about health, or about some adverse or difficult, situations in society. They vary and they come at different times, in different forms, with different forces. And when you look at the stories of the Anbiya alayhim salam in the Quran, every one of them was faced with a different difficulty. Everyone was faced with Adam alayhi salam when he was taken out of Jannah. He faced the difficulty of being in a new environment where he did not know what is what, and it took him time to establish himself there. Going through each prophet, one after the other, Lut alayhi salam was faced with issues of immorality, which are very, very common today as well. That is an issue we are facing in society, right? You look at Ibrahim alayhi salam. He was faced with a very strong push of shirk, and if you want to say Islamophobia, that not being allowed to practice his religion because everyone wanted him to follow their religion. You look at Ayyub alayhi salam. He was faced with the difficulty of health, and he wasn't just afflicted with a sickness, but in that he lost his family and all of his wealth. Yusuf alayhi salam, before that, Yaqub alayhi salam, he was faced with the difficulty of losing his family members, which is one of the most difficult situations to get through in this world. Yusuf alayhi salam was faced by something even worse, a betrayal of his own blood. And then different temptations and plots to make him look bad and different things, all the way up to our Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam, who was faced with difficulties like none before. He says, وَلَقَدْ أُوذِيتُ فِي اللَّهِ وَمَا يُؤْذَى أَحَدٌ. I have gone through such difficulties that no Nabi before, even collectively, have gone through. And this isn't That's not our topic today of looking at. But if you look throughout the entire life of Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, every type of difficulty, trial, stress situation that we could think of that we might have gone through in our life, or we know someone who did, or we might ourselves, he went through that. And subhanAllah, one of the things that is so special about Surah Yusuf and the story of Yusuf alayhi salam is that there are countless elements in the life of Yusuf alayhi salam that are similar to the life of Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam. And that is why Surah Yusuf has so many lessons. That's why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala calls it Ahsan al-Qasas, the best of narrations, because it has that many lessons for us. Our Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam was faced by the hatred of his family, those closest to him. Yusuf alayhi salam was faced by the hatred of his brothers. Our Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam was faced with continuous difficulties and then finally taken to Medina Munawwara, where he found some refuge and some peace. Yusuf alayhi salam faced difficulties with his brothers, with his family. When he finally got to Egypt, then after some time his position was established and found some peace. The Quraysh Makkah, after the Hijrah happened, they were faced with a massive famine and drought. When Yusuf alayhi salam was in Egypt, his family back home, their whole society was faced with famine and drought. That's why his brothers came back to him as the king of Egypt to ask him for help, because they needed food and rations and they needed assistance. When the drought happened with Quraysh, our Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam sent aid for them, to help them. Yusuf alayhi salam also sent assistance back to his society to help them. And it goes on and on and on. There are direct connections between both. And perhaps the biggest connection is the difficulty that they went through. And we see this in the story of Yusuf alayhi salam, not just in his life, but also of that of his father, of Yaqub alayhi salam. Like we mentioned, he was faced with the difficulty and the trauma of losing his most beloved son, his most beloved child. And that too, not just because of some unavoidable occurrence, but because his own other sons plotted against him, and his own sons were the cause, the means of him feeling that hurt and that pain of losing his other son. So that amplified it even more. But the point that we need to understand the most through the examples that Allah gives of all the prophets and of Yaqub alayhi salam is how they reacted when they were faced with those situations. Because situations will come to us as well. They will come. It's unavoidable. And some will be minor, some will be major. Some will seem like our entire world has shaken. And it will seem like there is no way out of this. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave us these narrations and these examples to show us that no, other people have gone through the same or much worse situation that you have. Look at how they reacted and made it through, and if you do the same, you will also make it through. One of the most famous or commonly known phrases of Surah Yusuf and of Yaqub alayhi salam is what he said. It comes twice in Surah Yusuf. One when he lost Yusuf alayhi salam, and one when he lost the other son, Binyamin. At both times he said, فَصَبْرٌ جَمِيلٌ. فَصَبْرٌ جَمِيلٌ, that I will exert a splendid, a beautiful patience. So that is the first element, the first response that we as Muslims must have. When a difficulty comes, we have to exert patience. Now, the patience that we exert, Imam Qurtubi, he says that, the fact that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala describe the wording of Yaqub alayhi salam as saying sabrun jameel, a splendid patience, that means there's a patience that is not jameel. That means that there is a patience that is not jameel. And Mufassirin have explained in different ways what exactly is that sabrun jameel. Imam Ibn Kathir rahimahullah, he says that it consists of two elements. One is that a person does not lose their composure. They do not let that grief hit them so hard that they no longer remain the same as they were. They're not able to function as they were before. That's the first, that you maintain that composure. And second is that they don't tell others about it. They don't complain. When we face a difficult situation, our direction should always turn back to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Yaqub alayhi salam, when he was going through his difficulties, he said, إِنَّمَا أَشْكُو بَثِّي وَحُزْنِي إِلَى اللَّهِ. I only complain of my grief and my difficulties to Allah. And he mentioned bath, إِنَّمَا أَشْكُو بَثِّي وَحُزْنِي. And these two words, bath and huzn, they're very similar in meaning. But Mufassirin have explained that bath comes from batha, وَبَثَّ فِي الْأَرْضِ مِنْ كُلِّ دَابَّةٍ, to spread something out. And huzn is in internal grief, and bath is the complaining that you do out loud to others. So he said that whatever I have internally, or what I would normally expose or say to others, or internally, or what I would normally expose or say to others, or make a scene, or do this or do that, I am turning that only to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And subhanAllah, we find that Aisha radiallahu anha, when the entire incident of Ifk happened, she also went through many difficulties. She went through the trial of societies abandoning her, of turning against her. So she said at one point to Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam and to her parents that, وَلَئِنْ قُلْتُ لَكُمْ إِنِّي بَرِيئًا, if I tell you that I am innocent, وَاللَّهُ يَعْلَمُ إِنِّي لَبَرِيئًا, Allah knows that I am innocent, لَا تُصَدِّقُونِّي بِذَلِكَ, you won't believe me. وَلَئِنْ اعْتَرَفْتُ لَكُمْ بِأَمْرٍ, if I admit that I did what you're accusing me of, وَاللَّهُ يَعْلَمُ أَنِّي بَرِيئًا, and Allah knowing that I am actually innocent, لَا تُصَدِّقُونِّي, you would believe me that I actually did it. But she says that, وَاللَّهِ مَا أَجِدُ لِي وَلَكُمْ مَثَلًا, I don't find anything else I can say to you or compare my situation to إِلَّا أَبَا يُوسُف, except for the father Yusuf alayhi salam, إِذْ قَالَ فَصَبْرٌ جَمِيلٌ وَاللَّهُ الْمُسْتَعَانُ عَلَى مَا تَصِفُونَ, that I will exert a splendid patience and Allah will take care of what you are trying to do to me. So we need to develop this nature. It is not easy. We are, whether they be small trials or difficulties or major ones, it is human nature to go and complain to others because you want people's sympathy. You want their pity. It's an innate part of a human being, of the nafs, that it wants that attention. It wants people to look at you and give you attention, and you to use that attention to in some way make up for the stress and the downfall that you are feeling. But if we can try to make this change in direction, and bit by bit, because let's be honest, there's no shortage of difficulties that we go through. But if we try at every point, maybe this time I complained to someone, I made a mistake, I'm going to try not to again. And we keep working on that, we can develop that nature, then whenever something happens, we directly turn to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And that will only be possible if we understand a couple of things. One is that the situation that we may be in, that has come from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He is not unaware of what we are going through. And this is why Yaqub alayhi salam, he told his sons when they were going that وَلَا تَيْأَسُوا مِنْ رَوْحِ اللَّهِ, don't lose hope. Don't lose hope in Allah's help. إِنَّهُ لَا يَيْأَسُ مِنْ رَوْحِ اللَّهِ إِلَّا الْقَوْمُ الْكَافِرُونَ. Only the kafirun, only the disbelievers lose hope in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Because a person who loses hope, they are indirectly making certain claims. That one is that Allah is not able to help me. I'm in this situation and Allah is not able to help me. Because a person only loses hope when they don't see any other way out. And a person who begins to think that means they have forgotten that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is able to take me out of this. Secondly, a person, when they make that claim that I can't get out of this now, I've lost, everything is over, they think that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does not know what I'm going through. Or they think, as Imam Razi has said, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is too miser to help me. Na'udhu billah. So to lose hope, whichever angle you look at it from, it puts a person's iman in danger. Because you may not think of it directly in that way, but if you have reached that conclusion, that nothing can think of it directly in that way, but if you have reached that conclusion that nothing can help me now, you are, it's okay to grieve. There's nothing wrong with being sad when something happens. Right? Often the difficult situations we face, they come in the face of losing a loved one, whether it be a direct family member or someone else, or sometimes it comes in the form of a major calamity and difficulty. But there, one is the grief that we feel. Like Yaqub alayhi salam, he would say to himself, Ya asafa ala Yusuf alayhi salam. But he wouldn't go and complain about that to others. He would say, Innama ashku bathi wa huzni ila Allah. Our Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam lost his son, Abdullah. Lost his son, Abdullah. He said that, the hearts are sad. Indeed. إن القلب لا يحزن. ولا نقول إلا ما يرضى به ربنا. But we will not say anything except that pleases Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. إنا على فراقك لمحزونون. That we are sad that you have departed us. So it's okay to have, you can't stop that. You can't control that no matter how much you try. When something like that happens in your life, that sadness, that difficulty will not. We'll take lesson after. But it's about how we comport, how we handle, how we carry ourselves through that process. The second point that we need to know and be aware of Allah, He is the one who put us in here, He is the one who will take us out. The second is that any difficulty we go through, there is a reason for it. In most cases, it is because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is trying to help us. And there are countless narrations. The most famous one everyone has heard that if you've been pricked by a thorn, your sins are forgiven. It goes beyond that too. Any difficulty a person goes through, Hadith mentioned that the sins are forgiven, good deeds are written for them, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala are being elevated. One example of such hadith, and it explains it even more, that a person has a certain level that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants them to reach in akhirah. Allah has said that this person is going to be here, is going to be here, they're going to be in Firdaus. فَمَا يَبْلُغُهَا بِعَمَلِهِ. But the person's a'mal are not enough to get them there. They haven't done enough good deeds, or they have committed too many sins. So what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala do? فَمَا يَزَالُ اللَّهُ يَبْتَلِي بِمَا يَكْرَهُ حَتَّى يَبْلَغُهُ. Allah continues to put this person in difficult situations through which their sins are being forgiven, they're getting more good deeds, and their status is being elevated حتى يبلغها, until this person reaches that level that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants. Another hadith says, إِنَّ الصَّالِحِينَ يُشَدَّدُ عَلَيْهِمْ. Pious people, they go through the most difficulties. إِنَّ اللَّهَ إِذَا أَحَبَّ عَبْدًا ابْتَلَاهُ. When Allah loves someone, He tests them. It's not because it's punishment for that person. That a person thinks that, I do so many good deeds. I pray all my salawat, I give charity, I help others, I read this much Quran, I pray this many nawafil, I do everything that I could. But why am I still so sick, for example, at night? But I have such pains in my legs that I can't put myself on the ground. I have to sit in a chair. Are my good deeds, the way I'm living my life, is that not enough? Why is Allah putting me through this difficult situation? Why is He giving me these obstacles? It's your life, but Allah wants even more. Allah wants even better for you in the akhirah. Which is why on the Day of Judgment, the most wretched person who went through the most difficult and had the worst life in this world, they will be brought and they will be Jannah. They will be dipped once in Jannah and taken out. And they will be asked, have you ever seen a hardship? Do you know what a hardship is? There's a no. So everything that comes it is from Allah. Allah knows that we are in that situation. He knows why we are in that situation. And He is the only one who can get us through that situation. So why should we not turn to Allah in those situations? The makhluk is weak. They're ajiz. They're in their own problems. To help us. Allah to get us through a couple of things. In the Quran, in Surah Al-Iman, after the difficulty comes ease. And if you look at why here Allah has done this, repeating can come with emphasis. But Allah is saying after a difficulty comes ease, after a difficulty comes ease, because when you are in that difficulty, you can't imagine any ease. You think that this is it. I am so deep into this, I cannot get out now. So Allah tells you no, not to tell you once. He tells us twice that no, after the difficulty, ease will come. After the difficulty, ease will come. The other aspect he mentions of the situation, everything comes from Allah. But we have become so dependent on society and difficulty there is in ease. He says that our mind doesn't go to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's help, to his help, to turn to him. And again, no matter how much you think this difficulty, the situation is, Allah will give you multiple streams, multiple ways to get out of it up ahead. Says in a beautiful poem, he says, this is acknowledge the situation, everything comes from Allah. Why fast? When the decisions of Allah come, everything, nothing is fixed, nothing is welcome. Allah has promised that. Imam Shafi rahimahullah, he says that let the days and the nights do whatever they want. Let them bring upon you anything. But you yourself should feel at ease, knowing that it is all coming from Allah. ولا تجزع جنازة الليالي فما لحوادث الدنيا بقاء. Don't get worried if something changes in your life overnight. You wake up in the morning and something major has happened. Yeah, you got a little bit Victoria proud. Inshallah. Allah bless you guys. Wonderful crowd. I see some youngsters in here as well. So it's a very good song. Allah protect the Iman or youngsters. In this day and age, I always say this in my masjid.
Listen, the youngster has come, and even if they come in half, you know, uh, clothes that if you come to Masjid, you'll suffer in this aspect a lot. But I'm getting better with time. My father says. So he has fallen asleep, but he's still with me. Huh? We got this. Let me give you that example. This is not discussed it. So when you perform wudu at home and you start walking towards the masjid with the intention of offering salat jama'ah.
Descriptions getting to because that face you know society where you are always standing around face society where you are always standing around
Well, let's connect them together. He has fallen asleep, but he's still with me. Huh? We got this. Yes? Yeah. You got a little bit of the youngster has come, and even if they come in half, you know, uh, clothes that is required in Sharia, don't tell them to go. Let them come. Masjid should be welcoming for everyone. So once you be able to introduce Islam, Islam, inshallah, the ways of life will change. Better joke, not to offend them. For everyone. So once you be able to introduce Islam properly to them, You're suppressing yourself. This is a question. This is something we have to carry out. But what does he do though? What's your opinion? How do you feel about this? Okay, a question is posed. Let's talk. I want to come back to this topic, anger. I don't want to complete the story. This could be any dream. You could be thinking of something. And matter you want to discuss with us. Allah. Also true. Yeah. Do. Hey, you have right? Your opinion. To respond, right? رعيته. If you get someone times during the day, special connection. Now, talk about that. Do whatever you have to give your children time, then you'll be able to understand your turn. And if a doctrine has been taught to them in school, which goes against the doctrine of Islam, then you're able to correct it. Like this next month that's coming up, a lot of, you know, uh, that's going to be pushed forward. It's against Islamic practices. So you're trying to be like wanted to come and say, right? So 10 times during the day, we get someone, but Allah. So the call of PM makes us happy. The call towards Allah should also make us. So tonight, you have answered that call. May Allah reward you. Right? And we're responsible for the كلكم راع وكل take out you did a good job. I appreciate each other. They came here. Yes. Yes. This is what Islam is all about. How much time do you have? 20 minutes? Lots of time. You got the all night. Look out. This is like over on what you talk about. Love into towards it. And you recited I am and he it is I will kick you out to you stop her and start talking Ibrahim Islam is Islam I had to like Latin as Abraham like hey you guys talk they they're finding exams they basically got in grade 3 or 4 kids. I can't recall. They told him to right? You know, about right, just right about anything. And in the broken sentences, children right. And one of the essays that came so tonight is getting a little heavy, many years. Very heavy dose. I did not want to start off with this. And you'll